In the last tutorial, I mentioned briefly that you can't extend multiple classes at once, but the parent class can itself be a child class and extend a class of its own. In this tutorial, we'll be cleaning up our dog class. We've pretty much moved everything from the German Shepherd class into the dog class, but there are a few properties and methods that can venture even further up to, for example, mammal and animal classes. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the car and vehicle classes and see how you did. Let's walk through this pretty quickly. I'm going to create a vehicle class, and that vehicle class will contain certain properties and methods. So for example, if we look at has headlights, has taillights, has turn signals constants, those are constants that belong to the car class, because not every single vehicle, in order to be classified as a vehicle, has to have headlights, taillights, and turn signals. But every vehicle, I would think, would have a color, make, model, even a year, fuel type. I think that's more indicative of a car type vehicle. That's probably in between this vehicle and a car class, but we're not going to worry about that too much. We'll just leave it inside the car class, and we'll move a few of these properties up into the vehicle class. Let's take a look at some other stuff. Horsepower and torque. Again, if a vehicle is a bicycle, it doesn't make much sense. Transmission, same thing. Vehicle type, I think we were using this to store like coupe or sedan, so that doesn't make sense either. That stays in the car. Or I guess we could raise it up there because it could be all kinds of different options, but we'll just keep it in here. We'll just say it's just storing. It's kind of a bad name for a property, but I don't want to overcomplicate this process. Exterior, width, height, and length, as well as exterior unit measure, weight unit measure, those all can be moved up into our vehicle class. As far as car on, that definitely seems like it should be something that stays in here. Since these have been moved up, what we'll do is just go down and change each one of these from private to protected properties, because we do want our car class to be able to inherit our vehicle class and actually use these properties. Great. Let's start going down and let's start looking at some of these other methods now. So we can have the get color, get make, set make, model, and year. All of those can move up into our vehicle class. Let's see if there's anything else inside of our car class. Where's car? Right there. So we have fuel type, horsepower, torque, all of those. Transmission definitely belong to the vehicle or the car class, as well as get exterior height, get exterior set, exterior height, width, length. All of these are going to be moving up. The weight, definitely any vehicle has weight, set weight. We'll grab that as car on. Those are definitely car specific. All right, let's go all the way up. Let's go to the bottom of this vehicle class. Let's paste the remainder of those methods. And now let's just take a look one more time to see if anything else needs to be moved up. The constructor, will keep that inside of our car class. Every time you instantiate a car, you have to pass certain arguments to the constructor itself. Fuel type, horsepower, torque, transmission, vehicle type is car on, set car on, as well as turn on. So turn on definitely seems like a car type of function. Turn off seems like a car type function. Drive seems like the car type function. Now we can move this make and model into our vehicle class because the make and model properties are inside our vehicle class. So at the end of this class, we'll go ahead and paste our method. And this time, instead of public, it's going to be protected, because the only time that it's going to be used is inside of our car class. So let's go down. Let's take a look at anything else. Turn off, drive, get car details, your make, model, color, fuel type, horse. So we'll leave this here just because it's returning a few of the properties from inside of our car class. And then we can leave the destructor or we can eliminate it. We can test this out now. We could go ahead and just kind of keep the same example. Set horsepower, set torque. Those are inside of our car class, but set year, that's inside of our vehicle class. And as a matter of fact, what we'll do is we'll actually modify it so that it doesn't pop up with an error like we did in the last one. And then let's call a few of the methods, like for example, drive. We'll try that and see what happens. So actually before that, we'll call turn on and then drive and then turn off. So each one of these actually returns a statement, a string. So we'll need to echo them out. And also we're not inside the object. We've instantiated the object. So it's actually Chevy, not this. We'll turn all those. Now let's go to the browser. Let's open up our file. And there we go. Connection successfully established. Followed by 900 horsepower, followed by 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Followed by Chevy Camaro has been turned on. I'm driving. The Chevy Camaro has been turned off. And then eye color, green, loud barking. I guess that's from our German Shepherd class that's below. But the interesting part is, here's that Chevy Camaro, and we called the turn on method. So if we look for our turn on method inside of our car class, you'll see that it's calling this get make and model. Make and model is within the vehicle class. So there it is right there. I just keep forgetting to close my project out over here. And since it's inside the vehicle class and the vehicle class is being inherited by the car class, we can actually call this protected method and use it. And it's not going to cause any kind of errors because it's used inside of the car class, specifically inside these methods right here. And we're not actually trying to call it outside of the car class. So we're not trying to call it somewhere over here. Perfect. I know I kind of went through that real quick, but I'm sure you guys had plenty of time to work on it. Now let's spend a little bit of time and actually figure this out right here. So let's take a look at our dog class, and what we want to do is create two more classes. So class mammal and class animal. Now, the title of this tutorial is Inheritance. And the reason why I named it like that is because if we look at our German Shepherd class, let's see where that's at, it extends a dog. And then the dog, even though it's a parent right here, let's go back up to our dog, top of the dog, it can actually act as a child and extend, for example, the mammal class. So it can inherit properties and methods from its parent, which is the mammal. So even though it serves as a parent to the German Shepherd, it's actually a child to the mammal class. Same thing for mammal. Mammal is going to extend animal, and in this case, mammal is going to be the parent to the dog class, but it's going to be the child of the animal class. So I would think we could move, first of all of these constants up to not only mammal, but all animals probably have hearts, maybe not tails, right? So let's move this down. Do all mammals have tails? I don't think so. That's probably a dog feature. So characteristic, but probably all dogs have tails. Probably most mammals don't. So we'll just keep it there. I could be wrong. I think all mammals have eyes. We could change that. I'm not sure if all animals have eyes. Let's take the eye color and put it inside the mammal, because it could be that I'm not 100% sure as far as what makes up a classification of the animal. We could look it up, but if all animals had eyes, then most likely this would be moved up into the animal class. Date of birth. Well, date of birth, all mammals as well as all animals have dates of birth, right? They're born at some time. So now let's look at a few of these other ones. Does shed, that seems like dog characteristics. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, and probably subspecies. That all seems like parts of what animal would be. Now, if we look at these classifications, right, I mean, technically every animal falls under each one of these specifications, but not every animal is a chordata or mammalia or carnivore or a canine or anything like that. So what we're going to have to do is actually, I'm going to copy these just so I have a reference, and then I'll comment it out down here. And what we'll do is actually all of these have to be initialized once we create our animal, because we need to know what it is. We can't just assume anymore, since we're not placing any of all of these inside of our dog or our German Shepherd class, right? Let's go down. Breed. That definitely seems like a dog type characteristic, so we're going to keep it inside dog. I'm not 100% sure if you would classify other animals by breed. Besides, I'm not 100% sure how far you would go up there. I guess maybe cows or something like that. They would have breeds, but we're going to keep that inside of our dog class. And I'm actually going to move this outside of the class just so it doesn't bother us. it doesn't get too cluttered, even though, I mean, it's already starting to get a little cluttered. One last property is the fur color. And what we can do, actually, that seems like a dog type characteristic. I don't know if all mammals have fur. And since these are the only 3 classes that we're working with, we're going to keep fur color inside of our dog class. Now, of course, you can expand this as much as you want. I mean, you can add the orders, families, genus in between here if you wanted to. But for our purposes, we're just going to keep it at 3 classes, or 4 classes actually. I think that's plenty enough. All right, so now we can start going down and we can grab eye color. So eye color, I think we saved that inside of our mammal class, so we'll paste that inside there. And then date of birth, we added that inside of our animal class. So we'll move all the getters and setters that are necessary inside of our animal class. And remember, those have to be public, so once we instantiate our German Shepherd class, we can actually access it outside of any class. All right, let's keep going. Does shed. That was a dog characteristic, so we'll keep the getters and setters for does shed inside here. Get fur color, that's also another dog characteristic. Get scientific classification, again, we can keep that wherever we want, but we'll keep it here because we're adding this breed, and like I said, not every mammal has a breed, so we'll keep that in here. Walk, bark, sleep, those are all dog characteristics. And technically right now, since we didn't generate the getters and setters for our phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, subspecies, and I think even the kingdom, because it was all defaulted, we will have to create the getters and setters for those properties if we want to be able to modify them. So what we'll do, or modify them outside of the class, I guess. What we'll do is go to code, generate, and then I'll put getters and setters, and it already has all the ones that I need. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, subspecies. I'm going to click OK. So now all the getters and setters have been generated for our animal class. So there's our animal class. The default is set to Animalia. So most likely, because it is inside of our animal class, we are never going to want to be able to modify our kingdom. So we're going to go ahead and erase the set kingdom setter. Everything else is good. We can go down and we can see that getter and setter has been generated for everything else. We'll get into our mammal class, and eye color, getter and setter is already there. And then into the dog class, everything else is good. Let's take a look at walk. So do all mammals walk? I'm not 100% sure, but I do know all dogs walk, so we'll keep that there. I don't think all mammals or animals bark. I'm also not 100% sure as far as sleep goes, but I guess we could move this up. I'll just make an educated guess that all animals have to sleep. So we'll put that inside of our animal class. Now we have a few different classes. I'm also going to go ahead and remove this destructor. We're not really using it. It's just a big commented out code. And let's look at our German Shepherd class. Pretty simple right now. So we have a constructor that sets a few different things. We can expand this constructor to actually set some of the properties that are inside of our animal class, for example, if we wanted. I mean, we already are doing it, date of birth, but the kingdom, phylum, everything else. But we're not going to do that, just to kind of simplify the process. And then we've overridden the bark method so that it says allowed barking when you call the German Shepherd class. So now let's see if everything still works. What we're going to do is get the eye color. We'll also get the date of birth, and we'll say gsdog get dob.break. And then we're also going to bark, and we'll see if this method is still called. We're going to put one more echo break right here. Let's go into our browser, hit refresh. That was a lot of code I just typed up, and I can't believe everything still works pretty smoothly. I mean, normally I would be testing this constantly, but this video is already dragging out too long, so I kind of want to just run through it. So there it is. Eye color is green, date of birth, even though it's in the animal class and we're calling it from the German Shepherd class, it's actually still being displayed correctly. And then allowed barking, which means the overridden method is actually working. Now this seems like just a mess of stuff, right? I mean, we've gotten to the point, how many lines of code? 680 lines of code inside this one class. or one file. So we don't want to actually do this. And in the next tutorial, we're going to continue with the cleanup and we're going to separate each class into its own file. And then it's going to be much easier to manage and actually keep up with your code. So I will see you guys next time.